back. It's been like 10 days since I podcasted. I thought I might forget how to do it, actually, but I think I did it right. And I really enjoyed this interview with Dave Hill. And Dave is a comedian, author, musician, actor, podcaster. And I just found out he's doing a clothing line as well. So I don't know if there's anything he can't do, but some of his highlights include the theme song for last week with John Oliver. That's his band Valley Lodge doing that. And famous author Malcolm Gladwell praised Dave's work, not only his books, but like his bands too, his black metal band Witch Taint. I think he's a fan of that. So let's see what else. He's appeared on some great shows, including the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, the Jim Gaffigan Show, and Inside Amy Schumer, so much more. So he'll tell you all about it. Here we go. Welcome, Dave Hill, to the Chuck Shoot Podcast. You're a musician, a writer, an actor, a comedian, and a podcaster. Did I miss anything?
I started a clothing line with a friend. So
shut the fuck up. Are you serious?
Excitement. Yeah, because I do a lot of artwork, and then so a friend of mine works in fashion, my friend Corey. So we decided, I was doing all these patterns, so she wanted to start a women's clothing line. So it's a line of dresses called Bunny, named after my mom, and it's at thebunnyshops.com, and we just sell online dresses all with like prints designed by me.
Wow, that's amazing. It's so inspirational to me. I think you're my hero, that you can do so many things and also do them so well. You know, I mean, like you shred on guitar, and then you're a hilarious comedian. You write these amazing songs, you act, and you've written books that are critically acclaimed. I haven't read your books yet, but I mean, it's amazing. Like, how do you do that? How do you do all these things?
I don't know. I just do what I like to do, you know?
Okay.
I just have fun and do stuff that's fun to do, and probably do too many things. I wish I wasn't interested in as many things, but I just kind of go where I feel like going, doing what I want, and I'm lucky that that's kind of, it's turned into the way I make a living. So I just kind of do what's fun. It's all fun, you know? So
okay. Well, so tell me,
having a good time.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning then. So like your life growing up as a kid, like what inspired you? I heard you talking about like you were kind of like doing Eddie Murphy's stand-up routine, but what else in terms of like inspired you in terms of music and comedians and movies and TV shows and authors? Were there certain things that really stood out that kind of motivated you to have an interest in these fields?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of always interested in art and music as a kid. Like I liked comedy and, you know, things like that, but I never really thought that I would go into that at all. But so I was more inspired by doing artwork and playing music, and there was always comedians that I really liked, you know, Andy Kaufman, Chris Elliott, Bobcat Goldthwait, David Letterman, and but I didn't really think of it as like something that I would end up being involved in. And then it just sort of happened by accident. I think was the first thing that I got into that was kind of grew, and you know, one thing led to another, and then I was like, oh, I guess my job is being a comedian now. So.
But so like, what were your childhood and your teen years like? Like, were you popular? Did you go to parties, or were you doing a million projects then as a kid? Were you playing music and writing books and theater and doing plays and things? Or what was your kid years like?
No, I didn't do, that's the thing. Like I didn't do plays or anything like that. I think maybe I was probably interested in it, but kind of thought it wasn't for me for whatever reason. And probably just some dumb reason, like I don't know, but I was always into drawing and painting and playing. I played hockey. That was like the only sport I really liked. I played other sports a little bit, but I was not like a jock type at all. But weirdly, like I was good at hockey and did pretty well with that. And then I was really just into music. I wanted to rock out, and I wasn't I wasn't unpopular, but I would say like I was kind of how I am now. Like I know it, I always knew everybody. I was friends with everybody, but I kind of was in my own little realm, which is kind of how I think I am as an adult. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have plenty of friends, but I'm not like I don't hang out with as same way in high school. I didn't hang out with just this group or just that. I knew everybody. So same way now in my adult life, I have good comedian friends, good musician friends, good actor friends, good friends that don't do any of that.
You have author friends. Aren't you kind of friends with Malcolm Gladwell too?
Yeah, I'm friends with Malcolm. I have a lot of author friends, and the same thing with books. Like I got into that. I think it was because my sister is a journalist, and she
Right.
encouraged me in that regard, and I think like maybe writing books was something I wanted to do, and I think part of it was maybe just a silly thing that I thought was like a respectable grown-up thing to write books, and
Yeah.
and that my parents would be proud of me. So I think that was part of the reason I was drawn to do that. And my mom unfortunately died before I ever wrote a book, but my dad
Right.
he's read the first two books. I think I don't think he is done with the last one,
Okay.
but
And so you originally worked as a visual artist, I think I heard, but then I also heard that you worked as an aide in a homeless shelter. Was that just like to pay the bills while you're doing other stuff that you really liked?
yeah, I mean, I worked my sort of like in college. I formed a band with my friends, and then like sort of right after college, I in college and then after college, I worked at a homeless shelter, which was one of the best jobs I ever had. I really liked
Really?
it. It was yeah, I worked I was a program aide, which is kind of like a you know you just kind of do whatever they want you to do. I'd put on meals, I would do like urine tests, I would do like I would once there was it depends I did whatever needed doing. Like a guy had scabies, and I had to like each week like kind of go with him to the shower and make sure he really like I had to it was, you try to do it with as much dignity as you can for them, and but I had to watch and be like, hey, get under your balls.
Like, do you kind of laugh at something? Because I remember I worked as a counselor, and one of my internships I worked in a mental hospital, and I would literally granted too, I was young in my 20s, but I would laugh at a lot of the stuff. I mean, you couldn't not laugh. You had to have a sense of humor, right? I mean, because there's just some crazy shit that you see.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was like that guy, but it's it's just the thing I really liked about working at a homeless shelter was that it was all you really have in common with all people really is just being a human being. And this was even more so because I was this young guy from Cleveland in the 90s with like my long post grunge curly hair, and most of the people living there it was for seniors, so it was over 55. Well, that was the cutoff or whatever, and they were either from New York City or from other countries. So we really related on just sort of a basic human level of like, hey, what's for dinner tonight? Like meatloaf. Oh, I hate meatloaf. Me too. Whatever. And so I loved it. It was if I had time, if I would go back and work there again. Plus, like you get at the time I was part of the deal was you got one meal you got whatever meals you were serving, you got to eat as well.
Oh.
So I would be like, great, I'm saving money on food. This is my, I
Yeah.
was like 22, so I was like, great, this is awesome. But I really liked it, and
That's cool.
yeah, but you would do. It was like one guy. I mean, there's just a lot of, people there for also many different reasons.
Yeah. Probably a lot of mental health, similar to like when working in the mental hospital, right? I mean, probably a lot of mental health and addiction issues, right?
Yeah, that was a big part of it. But then, a lot of things, there's a fire, there's many, many reasons, why people would end up there. So there'd be quite a range of people there.
And so it was around this time too, that this is, like you said, you're playing in bands. You started playing bands in your teens, but I think, was it around this time where your band got a record deal and you had a video on MTV? Was this the one that was on Priority Records?
Yeah, my first band, we're called Sons of Elvis, which is the best/worst band name ever, I think. But we formed. We were like teenagers when we formed, and we never. I don't think we ever thought that we would get out of the basement.
Yeah.
So that's what we were called, and we signed to Priority Records. We had one record that came out, and video on MTV in the middle of the night and all that, and
toured with Mike Watt, right?
I toured with Mike Watt when I was a member of Cobra Verde, which
okay, that's a different band,
another Cleveland band, and when I was in Cobra Verde, toured with Mike Watt a couple times, and then also toured with him when he played bass with Jay Mascis. So that would have been late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
But yeah, that's another band that I played in.
But that didn't work out for whatever reason. But then you formed this other band.
Cobra Verde is still a band. They're kind of a long.
Are you still in it?
I'm just not in the band. No,
okay.
no.
Oh, okay. Because you got Valley Lodge now, right?
Yeah. Then I formed. I came to New York in 2003, and I had another band called Uptown Sinclair with my friend Tim from Sons of Elvis, and he's now in Cobra Verde. There's all sorts. Ohio's very incestuous. Like, okay. Cobra Verde was once part of Guided by Voices, and Doug Gillard, who was in Cobra Verde, is still in Guided by Voices. There's all sorts of overlap, but so we formed this band that was kind of a power pop band, and then I came to New York for the weekend in 2003, and I just never left. And then I formed Valley Lodge with my friend John Kimbrough, who was from a band called Walt Mink, which is one of my favorite bands ever. So it was a thrill to be able to play with him. And yeah, we formed that band in like 2004. So it's so weird that he's not playing with us anymore, but it's so weird that we're still a band.
Yeah, so many bands. And so then, you got to tell the story of the Witch Taint. Obviously, that's a big one too. The comedy black metal band that you started as a joke, and explain like you were emailing, like you were basically trolling other metal bands and saying they were big pussies, and your band was way harder. But you didn't even have. This is before you even started the music, right?
Yeah, I mean, probably around in the early 2000s, probably like as early as like 2002, I would say. I started emailing. Honestly, there was just a website that was like all black metal. It was like FMP 666 Full Moon Productions. I think it might still exist in some way, but it was like metal merch and had everything. And they had a page that was like contacts for all these black metal bands, and I just decided that I would email them and just call them pussies, and, then say that I was like more extreme than them.
So you said you posed as a teenager named Lance from Gary, Indiana. I have a friend who lives in Gary, Indiana. What made you choose Gary, Indiana as the hometown of this fictional character?
I have no idea. What happened was I was emailing these bands, and there would be some exchanges, and then in 2004, I was like, oh, I should do that again. And mind you, I was like doing it solely for my own enjoyment. You know, I didn't think it would be of interest to anyone on earth. It was just for my own entertainment late at night, you know, just emailing people.
But you tried to get a deal with a Norwegian record label. Did you get that deal?
No. So
No.
that was the one. I emailed the one label, and then that correspondence like really kept going and going for like 6 months, and that was, and you know, I was showing it to my friend John Kimbrough and my friend David Jaffrey, and so they were the only two guys I was showing it to, and then they started showing it to other friends, and then David's friend Jeff Watson once the correspondence had run its course, it's like sometime in 2005, he put it all on a website, and then that website went viral, I guess is the term. I mean, at the time, I don't even know if people said that, but in 2005, and it went all over, and then I made T-shirts and would sell those.
Was this before you started the music, though, right? Because didn't you did okay, because
there was one song. I had written one song recorded at John's house, and I sent that in to try to. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to sign us, but I sent that in. And to answer your question, Gary, Indiana, the reason I just picked that completely arbitrarily. I don't know why I didn't just say like University Heights, Ohio, where I'm actually from.
It's just funny, I don't know. It seems to be the butt of some jokes, I guess.
I think it was because Michael Jackson was from there.
That's honestly, right.
I think that was probably why I did it.
Because what's more black metal than Michael Jackson?
Yeah, I think it just stuck out in my head for that reason, maybe. But like as I was doing it, I wasn't thinking about even the name Witch Taint, which I maintain is probably the greatest band name of all time.
It's pretty great.
I didn't spend any time thinking about any of this. I was just kind of doing it. And so it always just kind of came to me as I was emailing this guy. And then I just kind of, you know, people would talk about Witch Taint for years after that. And my friend Trish Nelson was like, you know, why don't you read these emails on stage? And so
right, so wasn't that the original show? Was like it was a comedy show, and I heard you tell the story that, you know, you're doing the show at the Viper Room, and at that point you didn't have any songs, but one of your friends said that he went to the show and he's like, "Yeah, sorry, we had to leave. We only heard a couple songs," and you're like, "We didn't play any songs." Like,
yeah,
he basically got caught in a lie.
Yeah, he set himself up. Like, there's no reason. Like, it's not like I would have been like, hey, where were you? I never would have come up. But he basically just outed himself as lying. And yeah, because so we had just one, we would play the song that that demo was, you know, it was just noise. And then eventually we started, because I was doing it with my buddy Phil Costello, who plays guitar in Valley Lodge. And, you know, for years, he'd always been like, we should make Witch Taint a real band. And I was like, I don't know. And then we finally did these stage readings of it. We did it twice in New York at St. Vitus. And then I got asked to do South by Southwest and, you know, to do stand-up. And I was like, you know, would it be all right if I did this thing, Witch Taint, that I've been doing? Can we do that one night as well? And they were like, sure. So the Austin Chronicle wrote it up, but we didn't think anyone was going to come to this show because we're like, no one's going to, how's anyone to even know what it is? And we put the corpse paint on in the hotel room and walked over like half a mile to the theater in our full get-ups, you know. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the theater and there's like a line down the block and we're like, why? What's going on at this theater tonight? There must be something else happening, because and we walked up the back of the line, so no one noticed us. We just walked in the theater, and then we got inside. I was like, "What are all these people doing?" And they're like, "That's for you. It's sold out." And so
what?
It was really exciting. We'd sold it out, and it was super fun. And but anyway, so and then from then we we did it in London, we did it in Oslo, which was like felt like a homecoming of sorts. Because we did it, read these emails, and like there was actual guys from like Fenris from Dark Throne came, and he was in the front row, and different guys from different bands were there, so that was nice. And then we got asked to do the Wacken Festival, which is the biggest metal festival in the world.
Wow.
And the thing is, like, the whole time we were doing this show, like, people didn't know what it was because they know I'm a comedian, but they know I'm also a musician, and they would see the photos with me with the guitar, so they'd be like, well, it's a band, which is probably why my friend was like, oh, I only caught a couple songs.
I just love that story.
By the time we got to Wacken, we had like 5 songs in the actual show that we kind of dropped in at key points of the show. And so when we were at Wacken, we did 4 shows, and every time people were just staring at us because it's all these people from Germany and around all over Europe, just like, what the fuck is this, and they, some people got it, other people were really confused, other people were mad that we were just standing there reading off laptops. But the one consistent thing is whenever we would play the music, everyone would go crazy. And so I think after the second show, we were just like, let's just be a band. And we recorded an album, and then we put together a band after that we got some friends to join us to play live. And so we started, we've only played like 6 shows because this was all leading up, and then the pandemic, the record came out like right in the beginning of the pandemic. So we're going to play in September as the next show. So we're going to, and Phil and I've gotten together to write the next record. So
you should play with my friend Mantis from Venom Incorporated. They founded black metal. Like, I had him on the show. He's awesome.
I would love it, actually. Mike Hickey, aka Micus from Venom, who played in Venom. I guess because Mantis is the guitar player, right?
Yeah, he was the original guitar player for Venom, and then I think they split off, and now he does Venom Incorporated, and then some of the other people are still in Venom.
Kronos.
Yeah,
I think he and then Kronos has Venom, but yeah. So Mike Hickey, who's now guitar tech for Joe Bonamassa, he plays. He plays on the Witch Taint record on
okay.
song. So we do have.
That's cool.
I actually am staring at right now. I still have to sew it on something, but he sent me like an original Venom Legions patch.
Oh wow!
So and pin that I have to put on something soon.
Yeah. Were you a metalhead growing up? Like, I thought I heard you. I couldn't tell if you were joking, but you were talking about like Dawkins and Rat. Like, were you into that kind of stuff, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been like an omnivore with music.
Okay.
So I've always been into all kinds of. I know everyone says that, but like my buddy Tim, who I mentioned earlier from Sons of Elvis and Cova Verde, we would always be. When you're a teenager, I don't know how it is now. I don't know what these kids do, but when I was a teenager, you couldn't. It wasn't acceptable to go see everything. Like with equal enthusiasm, you had to be into this and this, but you couldn't be into this. So, we would go see Rat when they came to town, and we go see the Replacements. We go see ZZ Top. We would go see In Excess, Agent Orange, Danzig, whoever.
That's a good variety.
We like to rock out in all its forms. So
yeah.
I Rat, I loved. I mean, Rat to me are like the Stones of hair metal, and I think
nice.
I saw Dawkins, Scorpions, Kingdom Come, Metallica, and Van Halen at the Monsters of Rock at the
Oh,
Akron Rubber
that
Bowl
sounds amazing.
in like 1988. Just a little
Okay.
fresh-faced Dave Hill. Um, but we would do that, and then we would. It was like I pretty much would go see if there was a guitar on stage. I would go.
Okay.
Like that's all I needed. So I would, front row at Psychedelic Furs, front row at Rat, whatever. I didn't
That's
care.
awesome. I love that because I
So
love all kinds of music too. So then tell me about your band that you have now, Valley Lodge, because you guys have a lot of great songs, and this is totally different than Witch Taint. Is this like kind of poppy? I would say maybe kind of like '90s alternative rock stuff. I don't know how you would describe it, but
yeah, I mean, it's probably that, there's, but like I think of it like Big Star, Cheap Trick kind of power pop type music.
yeah, it's very catchy. You've had songs on
Thank you.
Raising Hope and Cougar Town, but the big one is you wrote the theme song for John Oliver. Now you got to tell me, how did you land that? Because that seems like a very lucrative deal. Am I wrong? Like every time they play that, you get paid, right? Hopefully, if you sign the deal, right?
It's a nice little trickle of mailbox money, which is very nice. I mean, the one, but we had released a record, our third record, and that was the first song on the record. And I had years earlier done some music for a show called Reverb on HBO, and that's where I met Liz Stanton, who is the showrunner of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. And I knew John Oliver from from doing stand-up around New York. So Liz just called one day and was like, we want to use one of your songs for the theme song. And I was like, oh, you should use this song, Go. And she's like, yeah, that's the one that we want to use.
Wow.
So it was just honestly an amazingly lucky thing, and I'm super grateful for it. Because and it's also a great show that I actually love and watch.
Yeah, he's so smart, and like I don't always agree with him, but he's hilarious and he's super smart. Like it's a great show for sure. It's probably one of the best shows of that kind, I think, on TV right now.
Yeah. I think that show and Sam Bee are probably the two best.
You're on that one too. You had a cameo on that, right?
Yeah, I've been on that a few times. It's been a while.
Oh, okay.
If anyone's listening from that show, I'm ready to make my triumphant return.
Yeah, and then the last thing about music I want to ask you, is it true you were like a correspondent on Fuse TV's Hoppus on Music, which was hosted by Blink-182's Mark Hoppus. So tell me about that, because I have a buddy who's a huge Blink-182 fan. So did you get to work with him directly, or was it more like indirectly?
Yeah, I did some field pieces on the show, but then I did or I'd be on the couch with him or in the studio with him as well. So yeah, I know him, and he's a delight. So if your friend is ever wondering, I can confirm he's a delightful fellow.
Can you ever have you ever thought of doing music project with him, like collaborating?
If he's listening,
I'm sure he's a fan.
I would love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
I would love it. I mean, I love that. I pretty much, yeah. I would love it. I love playing music and collaborating with people, which is, why I keep forming new bands. Witch Taint became a real band, and then I have another band called Painted Doll. That's my friend Chris Reifert, who has a band called Autopsy, which are one of the greatest metal bands ever, death metal band. He was the original drummer for Death.
Oh, that's huge.
He played on the first, him and Chuck Schuldiner did the Scream Bloody Gore record when Chris was 17. And so he's a total legend in that world. And I went to see Autopsy in Texas, and then his wife Nancy recognized me because they were comedy fans, and we got to chatting and hung out, and we kept in touch, and we started trading like all this psych music and things like that, and then when I would be doing shows in San Francisco, they would come out, and then he saw me play guitar in the comedy shows, and he's like, let's form a band. That's actually worked well for me, because so we ended up forming a band. We have 2 records out on TP Records, and then I played in a band with Walter Streifels from Quicksand and Gorilla Biscuits and stuff. He's an old buddy of mine, but it was the same thing. He came to see me do a comedy show, and I played guitar, and he saw me play guitar, so he's like, "Oh, you should be in my band." So I'm really getting to play with some great musicians by
that's amazing.
By playing guitar.
Yeah, and you kind of just drifted. Yeah, and you said you kind of just drifted into comedy and acting, but like you said, you did Samantha Bee show, and you did Jim Gaffigan and Amy Schumer. So what's it like working with these like basically titans of comedy? Like, what do you think makes them so successful? Is it just straight up talent, or hard work, or both?
I think it's a lot of things, but obviously talent and definitely hard work, and there's all sorts of factors. So
is it intimidating for you to work with them, or do you feel like you're an equal? I mean, because you've done so many amazing things yourself.
I'm an absolute equal.
Love it.
No, I don't know. They're all lovely people that I've known, for a long time. So, I'm grateful that they would think to have me be a part of what they're doing. So
yeah,
I'm always thrilled, and hopefully it'll keep going.
Yeah,
so
no, it's
I actually get, if anyone's listening. I know people are listening, but
nobody's listening. I'm sorry.
No. I mean anyone who has their own TV show. When
definitely none of those people are listening.
Show. When people do have their own TV show, and I don't get to play anyone on the show, then I get really mad.
You get no. So tell me about, you did an episode of Modern Family. I don't think you can get much bigger than that show. That's like one of the biggest shows of all time. And I had I don't know if you know Mo Mandel. He's a comedian, and he did an episode of that.
He's a friend of mine.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. He said he did an episode of that show, and he had a funny story about like how Ed O'Neill was like taking home all these enchiladas from the craft services because it was like so amazing. Like, did you have the same experience? Is it just like everything amazing there, like the craft services, and like I'm picturing like massages and like, because they have so much money, can't they just make it the most amazing set ever?
No, I have to tell you, I actually was not on Modern Family.
You weren't?
But somehow
it's on your IMDb.
I know. I don't know why it is. And I haven't corrected it because it can only help my career that someone thinks I was. But for whatever reason, it says I
that's
honestly
hilarious.
was never on that show.
Okay, that's funny because I fucked up before with Wikipedia. Like I asked Jeff Tate, the singer of Queensryche, about playing football, and he's like, I never played football. I was like, oh shit. Okay. So I've been more careful about the Wikipedia. I've never seen IMDb to steer me wrong. So that is really shocking.
I think probably what happened, I have not put any effort into it because I should have just gone along with it.
Yeah. But no, I would agree.
I was like, if anyone sees it, good. That's just one more credit. But that is the one thing on my
that's hilarious
IMDb page that I'm aware of that is a mistake. But
well, it's good that they picked like a great show like that and not like said that you were like on something that you hate, probably like Fox News or The Apprentice or something like that. No, but you did 3 episodes of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. That is real, right?
That's accurate. Everything else is, I think, right on there, but I think probably with the Modern Family thing, there are other people named Dave Hill. I'm the preeminent Dave Hill. Though I will say, and I think I mentioned this when you emailed me, sometimes people get in touch with me and think they're reaching out to the guitar player from Slade.
Yes, I did originally. I was like, wait, because my friend just said, yeah, Google him. You'll love him. And I was like, okay. So when I Google Dave Hill, that's the thing that comes up. So that's who I thought. But then when I found out.
no, that when I Google Dave Hill, I come up first.
Oh, I don't know. I for some reason I think
not that I Google myself very often, but I think
maybe I Googled guitarist Dave Hill. I don't know, but like for some whatever reason,
if you do that, then yeah. But I think at this point, at least in North America, if you Google Dave Hill, I'm the preeminent one.
I like that. That's a great word.
If you do it in UK, but the thing is, I love Slade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a massive Slade fan.
I would love to have him on too, but I mean,
I would too.
Yeah.
I mean,
like I don't know how to get a hold of him. He doesn't have any social media. Like I don't think there's a website. I don't even know.
No, I think there's like some really bad looking Slade website that you could probably get a little booking agent. I know I emailed their booking agent before because I was doing this kind of talk show thing in London. So I was like, I got to see if I can get Dave Hill from Slade on it. But the best thing is I got, someone wrote to me that there's this thing called Slade Days. I think it's like a week, weekend festival in like the Midlands of England or something of about Slade. And I got asked, if I would attend. And I wrote back and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll attend. Because I love Slade and I love going to England. So I was like, yeah, I'm not the guy from Slade, but I love Slade.
I'll come as a fan, yeah. And you can shred, you can play the guitar.
Yeah, I feel, but I didn't hear back. Sadly, I didn't hear back.
You should have just,
what are you gonna do?
Not like asked or not told them. They should have just assumed that. Well, you should have known that. It's your mistake.
I know. I should.
You ever do that?
I should have.
That'd be funny.
I need to start doing that, because the other thing is like people. The thing where I don't correct people is I've had people even reach out through like my representation who think I'm the guy who wrote for Game of Thrones.
Oh.
And I'll usually just go along with it, and because people will write to me, like DM me on Instagram or Facebook message me like, I love Game of Thrones, like can you tell me, like it's so awesome. And I'll usually just go like, yeah, they're like they'll ask me like plot points, like what's gonna happen with this guy, and I'll just be like, oh, he gets run over by a donkey in the second episode of the next season. And they'll be like, what? That doesn't sound possible. I'll just make up, because I've never watched the show. I think I tried to watch part of it. I'm sure it's great. I just my girlfriend loved it.
My girlfriend loves it too. Yeah, I tried to watch the first season. I was like, I can't get into this show. I don't know what it is. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know. Maybe I should try again.
Maybe I will at some point, but there's just so many things. There's so much shit out there.
Yeah.
That I can't keep up with it. And I find the more I'm told how great something is, the more I think part of me is like, well, fuck that thing. Then
right.
Just the contrarian part of me, I guess. But the other part of me is like, well, it's so good. I'm gonna have to. And
then it can't live up to the expectations, right? Because it's like, I think that's the thing with Game of Thrones. Everyone said it's so good, and then I saw it, I was like, huh? I was like, I don't think it's that great. It's okay, I guess.
Yeah, but sometimes things. Yeah, I'm more like to be surprised, like, like I loved Schitt's Creek, but everyone was telling me to watch it. So I took a while to watch it, and then the thing with Schitt's Creek is like it takes a few episodes and then it gets amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh man, everyone said this was so great. It's pretty good, whatever. But then people were like, you got to stick with it. So I stuck with it, and then I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad I stuck with it because I loved it.
Yeah, it was a good show,
and think that it's absolutely it's definitely deserves all the praise and awards it gets because it's great. But the other one, like, do you watch Letterkenny at all?
Yeah, no, I haven't. I tried to get into that, and I just like, I'm not getting this. Maybe I need to stick with it more past the first episode. But I had a buddy that loves
Maybe
that show, and he told me about it.
I
And I just got Hulu recently, and we watched it, and I was like, I feel like this show's like too smart for me.
I love that show, and I've like to think at least that I'm like ground floor because in America, because I had never, the only person that I ever mentioned it is my friend Jim that I met at the dog run, but he was telling me about it like when I was just getting to know him,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "You got to watch this show, Letterkenny." And so I was like, "Well, we'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna just start taking tips from this guy I just met. You know, I hadn't properly vetted him yet to take TV recommendations." So,
Okay.
but he was mentioning it. He mentioned it to the point, and I was like, "No, I haven't seen it. I haven't get a chance." And then finally, I was like, "Shit! Like, I have to watch this show because he keeps asking me about it." So I finally watched it one night, and I was like, "I'll just watch 5 minutes so I can say I watched it." And I was just like, right away, I was like, "Oh man, this is fucking amazing." And so, but I love it, and like I'm the second person on earth, as far as I'm concerned, that ever watched it.
You're the
But
hipster of Letterkenny. You
I'm
watched
the-
it before it was cool.
Yes, and then, but I've had the experience where I'll recommend it to people, and it's either like people are in or out. It's not like it's not Vanilla Ice Cream where everyone can at least.
No, it's got really
say-
interesting dialogue, like really smart and very like elaborate dialogue. But it's like, I guess for me, it was like, I don't see this as realistic that people would talk this way. Like it's interesting, but I was like, I can't get over the fact they're talking this
the
like
dialogues. Yeah, the dialogue is insane, and that's what I love about it. It's just like wordplay things that I've never seen anyone do before. So I love it. I'm a huge fan. So
But back
like
to you and your career though. Tell me, because you did
back to me.
Let's talk
get
about
back
you.
to me.
Yeah, because so you did this Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. You had like 3 episodes of that, and I'm trying to see.
Yeah,
I haven't seen all those. My girlfriend really likes that show. I think I've watched like half of them. But you played the creep. Is that your title for that one?
yeah. My character is called Creep, and it was initially supposed to be just one episode.
Okay.
But then I'm told that Tina Fey liked my liked what I did, so they kept dropping me into other episodes, which was really nice.
That's really cool. And then
I just did my friend Meredith Scardino, who wrote on Kimmy Schmidt, created a show called Girls 5 Eva that's hilarious.
Oh yeah,
And
I saw
Tina
that you had
Fey-
done that. I haven't watched it yet.
So
but-
I did an episode of that as well.
And then tell me
keeping
about
my perverted, creepy guy streak going.
So, and then tell me about the movie that you just did, Drunk Bus. It's got the kid from Ozark. How do you say his name?
Yeah, Charlie Tahan.
Tahan. Do you think that
I
kid
thought it was
is gonna
Tahan until like 5 days ago.
Okay.
No.
Do you think he's gonna be a big star? Because he's pretty young and he's really good on that Ozark show.
I think so. I mean, yeah, Drunk Bus. We shot that a while ago, and it was supposed to debut at South by Southwest last year, and then that was like right when all the craziness hit, and we didn't do it. And then, but yeah, it just came out this past Friday. Yes, I do think Charlie is going to be have an amazing long career ahead of him, and I hope that he everything he's doing. I hope he tells them, "Hey, let's get Dave in this."
Yeah, that's right. You need to ride his coattails.
That's what I told him. I was like, "Get me on fucking Ozark."
Yeah, you should go on Ozark. That's a great show. So okay, so
I
then,
love that show.
That's great. So then let's talk about your writing career. So you started out, like you said, your sister was a journalist and she got you into writing for a Cleveland newspaper. And then you're writing for Salon magazine and Hip Hop magazine and the HBO show. I mean, how did you're writing for all these shows. Oh, this is the one I wanted to ask you about, was The Smoking Gun. because it's with Susie Essman from Curb, and
She
I
was
think
on that, yeah.
yeah. So I heard people see her like in airports and stuff, and they want her to like scream at them and yell at them because that's what she
Yeah.
does on Curb. Did she talk to you about that? Did you ever have any interactions with her?
I did, yeah. I only met her once, I think. I met her in Vegas once. And yeah, she did tell me that everyone asked her to yell at them. So, and she's a totally
She's not like that in real life,
wonderful-
right? Isn't she really
not
nice?
like that. She's super nice. Yeah, I've met her. I've met Jeff Garland a bunch of times. He's
Oh,
a
really?
delightful fellow.
Oh, he seems really cool.
Yeah. And I think that's the only people aside from friends who have done like little roles on the show.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't ask me how many people on the show I've met, I think those are the only two.
You can just keep name dropping. I love that stuff. It's exciting to me.
About it, but
that's cool. So then,
yeah, she's awesome, and yeah. So, what else? Yeah.
So yeah, writing. But
yeah.
anyway, so you're writing. So your first book, I thought this was interesting, called your first book, Tasteful Nudes. Apparently, explain to me how you like know Malcolm Gladwell, because he's a famous author, and you saw him in coffee shops or something, and you asked for his advice. And I like this is good advice. He told you he only writes 2 hours a day, and the rest of the time he's doing other stuff. And then because it builds up, and then you can just pour out all the things, all your thoughts or whatever, and you could write more that way. Whereas if you tried to write for 8 hours a day, you probably just can't do it. Which is really interesting to hear a successful author of that level only spends 2 hours a day writing.
Yeah, I mean, I met him through my friend Steven. I mean, big part of the way I ended up doing a lot of things I've done is, just being in New York. I was living in Cleveland, and which is a great place, but there just weren't people doing the things that I wanted to do or dreamed of doing. There's people doing some things, tons of awesome things, but when I came to New York, all of a sudden I was meeting people like Malcolm Gladwell, David Rakoff, and so I was meeting authors who had written books that I'd read, and meeting writers who had written for TV shows I loved, and just it made it seem like, oh, this guy's sitting right in front of me. It made it seem more like tangible and doable. Like, I'm like, oh, if this idiot can do it, I can do it. No.
Malcolm Gladwell, yeah, he's an idiot.
This idiot.
Yeah.
No, it just was helpful to me to be like, oh, this is a person that's
that it's real.
Right now.
No, I've heard that from other people that it's like, I had the screenwriter Rich Wilkes on, and he said, he's like, it was a thing where his friend's dad or something worked in the movie industry, and he's like, oh, that's actually like something you can do. It's like a real thing. Like, so yeah, just being around those people makes it real.
Yeah, because I think growing up, I mean, I think it's changed a ton, over the recent years and things, with the internet and all that. But, when I was growing up, it was, we were kind of taught like, oh, my mom would always be like, oh, you can't do the things that you want to do for your job. That's like for your hobby.
Yeah.
You need to get like a proper job. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I got to figure out a proper job. But, I was never good at having a proper job. And now my job is doing, with all, love and respect to her, of course. Now I do all the things for a living that she said I could never do,
Yeah.
Not that she didn't believe in me, but it was just because being in Cleveland, growing up in Cleveland, it's not, you think, well, oh, you can't be a comedian who plays music and does whatever the fuck he feels like.
What's that what's that one comedian in Cleveland? God, I'm spacing on his name. He's like one of my favorite comedians, and he's like really, it does like the little songs and stuff too, and he's really funny, and I'm totally blanking on his name.
Are you talking about Mike Polk?
Yes, Mike Polk. I love that guy. Are you friends with him too?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. I absolutely love Mike Polk. He's one of the funniest people alive, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I
And
agree. I think he's like really underrated. I'm like, why is this guy not bigger? Is it because he stayed in Cleveland? Like maybe if he went to New York or LA, maybe he'd get bigger.
maybe, but I I actually really respect that. First of all, he grew up in Youngstown, so people always be like, "Oh, you got to move to the big city." But I think for Mike, moving to Cleveland was moving to the big city. You know,
Okay, fair enough.
no, I know he spent some time in LA, but I just think he's a great example of like you can make it work for you wherever you are. It's just
Yeah.
you're gonna have to like kind of maybe it's a different version of that. I have no doubt that if he moved to LA, he would be a really successful, actor or TV writer, whatever he wanted to do, he could do, I'm sure.
Hmm.
But, he stayed in Cleveland or has thus far, and is hugely success. He's on the local news doing like
Yeah, I've seen him do those little
amazing. Yeah,
correspondent.
he does these segments, and it's
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
I
Doesn't he have like his
I
own show,
told him
kind of, or something like the Mike Polk show or something?
he does a live show,
Yeah.
yeah, that I've done, and he does he's on the news, does these like things that are like really, I think, genuinely subversive. Like I tell him, like, if I were a kid growing up, like you would, and he inspires me anyway, but if I were a kid and I saw what he was doing, on the news, where it's like obviously the other newscasters, I think, are mostly confused or actively hate him.
Right.
No, but he's not. He's so clearly a change. It's not. He's not. He's obviously coming from a totally different place, and I think it's amazing. I think if I were a kid watching the local news and I saw that, it would inspire me so much. So
Hmm.
I think it's awesome
No, I
what
do
he's
too. I think
doing,
it's great. So,
and and
you know,
and I think it's cool that he's doing it from Cleveland, because I do
yeah.
think you can make it. You can be creative and do awesome stuff wherever you are in the world. It's just kind of figuring out how you're going to do it.
Well, especially now, yeah, with like Zoom and all this stuff. So, but talking about
Yeah.
inspiration, like I think you inspire me so much, like your work ethic. Like,
Oh,
how do you
thanks.
accomplish? I think we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but like, how do you accomplish so many projects? Like, walk me through a typical day for you. Like, how do you? What is your day like? How do you get through all this stuff? Like, are you writing 2 hours a day and then also writing music, or like I just don't even know how you have time for even to do this podcast.
Well, you know, I I like well, this is part of my media blitz that I'm on, doing a podcast.
I like that. I've
I'm
never been part of a media blitz. I don't think ever.
This is part of my big PR. No, I would do it at any time, but I'm
Thank
especially,
you.
trying to tell people to do drunk bus. So I
I
would
gotta
have
see
not, which
that.
is, you got to, everyone's
How do you
got to
see
see
it?
it.
How do we watch this movie? Is it on streaming yet, or do we have to go to
Yeah,
the theater?
Apple TV. It's in theaters, Apple TV, Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Well, basically everywhere but Netflix you can see it.
Okay.
But that being said, even if I weren't in the hit movie Drunk Bus, which is out now, I still would be talking to you right now.
Oh, thank you. I'm
Um,
glad.
but to answer your question, I think I just like doing. I wish I were interested in less things. I wish I only wanted to do one or two things, and I'd probably be more successful at one or two things. But um, I just like doing the things that I do, and I just that's why I do it, and I need to make money, obviously, so I focus on the things that are actually paying me money. If
Okay.
someone's like, oh, you got to write this thing or be here and be, you know on an episode of this show, obviously I go do that stuff first because that's paying my rent. And then all the things eventually pay the rent. And music is a more of a long, you make a record and then one song ends up the theme to Last Week Tonight, another song ends up on a commercial or whatever. And those, so then
yeah, that's cool. So but what
kind of, I kind of do whatever. But today I wake up, my dog made me get out of bed, as she does every morning. I go play with her. So we were out until about 10 o'clock this morning. I came back. I had to do a voiceover audition. That took me till about noon. Then I answered emails. And I went for a bike ride. And now I'm talking to you.
Wow. So.
And then after this, I'll do some writing.
Okay.
I'll try to do the Malcolm Gladwell recommended 2 hours.
That's cool.
And then I have a phone call. And then I might go see a friend. And then I do my podcast, the Dave Hill Good Time Hour.
Yeah,
tonight.
So it sounds like
we do it live.
So you're mixing it up, and you're probably putting in the hours to work, but you're mixing it up with other stuff. So like, what motivates you the most? Is it like your own self-pride of accomplishing the projects? Is it the reaction from other people for sharing your work? Or is it actually just doing the work? Like you just really enjoy the process or all of that?
I think it's like doing the work it's just what I like doing. It's how I want to spend my time. I don't want to say fully, I don't really give a shit what people think, because that's ideally I don't give a shit, but I want people to like what I'm doing and hopefully like me and think I'm a decent person,
But you want to like it too. Like if it makes you laugh or you think the song is cool, then you assume that other people would like it too.
Yeah. I that's kind of, I try to make things that I like and are entertaining to me. Like I don't like doing, if I myself wouldn't read it or watch it or listen to it, I wouldn't want to do it. Like, which is partially why, like, the idea of like moving to LA and being like just writing for TV. I don't know if like that's a really appealing. It would be a smart thing to do if I, assuming I could be hired, because it pays really well and all that. But most of the people I know write for shows they would never watch. So to me, like, I just think I would be miserable doing that. Working on something I personally would never watch as an audience member doesn't appeal to me. So that's why I tend to just do things, which is not me saying like, oh, those things are bad. Like, it's just, it's just, and it doesn't mean what I'm doing is good either.
Could you do like a one-off though for a show? Like, wouldn't that be fun to like write an episode of a big hit sitcom and then you could put your spin on it?
Yeah, I would love. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't. It's not like I've been asked to and I said no.
Yeah,
I would totally do that. I'm just saying, like, if some, let's just, I would be really bad at writing for like 2.5 Men. If that, I don't even know if that's the show anymore.
I don't think that show's on the air anymore. But I see your point. Yeah,
but like, say for example, like that would be an amazing job, and it would be like you would make so much money and be set for life if you wrote on that for many seasons. But I would be horrible at that, and I would be miserable. So
what would you like to write for? What's a show that you want? Like, what would be your top choices if you could write for any show?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know if I would want to say, because I think the shows that I love the most, like, I don't even think that I would be capable of it. I think because that, to me, the stuff that I love the most, like, I mean, look at a show like Letterkenny.
Yeah.
I love that show. and I would, of course, would love to write for it if they wanted a Dave Hill to come. This Dave Hill, not the guy from Slade. But I think part of what makes it so great is that those guys are doing it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know that I could improve on what they're doing. I certainly would if they asked me. I mean, and I would love to play a character on the show.
That would be cool. Yeah.
I think you probably have to be Canadian to do anything on that show. But
discrimination.
But no, I think I don't claim to be capable of a lot of the things that I love. I think I don't necessarily think I would be the guy to do it. Maybe I would certainly be happy to try. Yeah. But to me, like, I think the best things that anyone does, and all really I aspire to is to do, push what I'm doing to do the best job that I can, even if it's, some things I'm not gonna, get. I don't want to like point to one thing, but some things I won't be the greatest this or that, maybe, like, but hopefully I'll be the best Dave Hill version of that, So
no, that's good. That's a good philosophy to have.
I want to push things as far as I can in my abilities. It would be like I'll never run like a 6-minute mile, but maybe I could run in a 7.5 minute mile. And that'll be the best Dave Hill mile.
That'd be pretty damn good. Yeah. Are you still doing the, speaking of like exercising and stuff, or do you exercise? Do you still do the transcendental meditation?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think I don't always get both. You're supposed to do two sessions.
Two times a day. Yeah.
But I fail sometimes. Like, I think yesterday, I think I didn't at all, which is rare that I would miss both. But,
okay.
Like today, I think I somehow do better during the week, and somehow the weekend gets away from me sometimes, and I might miss one.
Does that help with your anxiety? Because I think I heard you talking about how you had like really bad OCD and anxiety in your 20s.
Yeah, I mean, OCD was more in my 20s, and ongoing my life, I've had a lot of problems with anxiety and depression, and it's definitely helped. But it's all, I think I need to, keep working at it and do other things, exercise. I've started microdosing psilocybin.
Mushrooms?
Psychedelic mushrooms.
Yeah, I've heard that can really help, actually, like especially with like PTSD and vets. I've heard they've had a lot of success with that.
Yeah, I think it will be like very mainstream treatment in a few years.
I've also heard this guy I follow, he talks about ayahuasca tea, that you take this tea and like you hallucinate, but it says that it like allows him to like kind of like step away from himself and like see his problems from like a different view, and it like really supposedly like really helps.
Yeah, I've never done that. I've heard about it, and I've heard that it's helpful, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not like in a rush to like there's different things. There's like toad venom, and
I haven't heard of that one.
That's these things are. I'm probably not in a rush to do that, because I should say, like, I don't even smoke pot. Really, I drink, and that's the only,
your vice.
Unless you count coffee, those would be my vices.
Okay, that's not bad.
Ice cream.
What kind of ice cream?
I used to be really into Ben and Jerry's Coffee Heath Bar Crunch, but then they stopped using Heath Bar, and they have some other version of that, and it sucks, in my opinion. And I used to like Chubby Hubby, and they did the same thing. They switched. I actually talked to a guy from Ben and Jerry's because
Oh, really?
my friend Doug from Big Gay Ice Cream here in New York, he
Wait,
is
what is it
friends
called?
with,
Big Gay Ice Cream?
yeah, my friends Doug and Brian started this company. It's massive in New York, and
Really?
they have other locations. They
That is a great name.
Yeah, they started a ice cream truck for the Pride Parade a bunch of years ago, and it was so successful that they started opening, like, retail locations. And
Wow.
but they know everybody in the ice cream world, so they knew.
Okay, sorry,
So
go on.
they had me talk to. I think I'd had a bit to drink, and they put me on the. They called because I was bitching about that Ben and Jerry's changed the flavors, and so they're like, "Let's call our friend." And he said that they switched away from Heath Bar, and then whatever the Chubby Hubby peanut pretzel thing. It's because of GMOs.
GMOs, right? Okay.
And so they switched to like a non-GMO provider or whatever. But I said, well, it sucks now, so I'm not eating it. So now I eat in Ohio. There's a place, Mitchell's Ice Cream, which is the best ice cream in the world, in my expert opinion. So whenever I'm in Cleveland, I always get that if I can. And then my on-the-go choice is I just get Haagen-Dazs.
Okay.
Because it's, I like the chocolate peanut butter, I like the dulce de leche, and I like the caramel cone.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll get just a straight up chocolate or coffee flavor. But those would be, if you're wondering, Dave's coming over. I need to get ice cream.
Do you know Dan Wilbur, comedian? I think you were friends with him, right?
I do know Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I had him on the show, and he does this thing, Positive Pranks, and he called this ice cream company, and he just, like, I guess that was how it started, and he just called this ice cream company just to tell them that he really liked the ice cream. He called the customer, like they have the complaint line, and like the lady was like laughing. She's like, "Wait, you're just calling to tell me it's good? There's nothing wrong with it?" And he's like, "Yeah." Have you ever heard his Positive Pranks?
I haven't heard that.
Oh my God, his Positive Pranks made me a fan of his comedy. I want to see him live. So you're in New York now, then, right?
I live in New York.
Yeah, I need to come see all you New York guys.
Yeah, Dan's in New York, I believe, unless he's left.
Yeah, Dan Wilbur's there, and Mike Kaplan, and there's a bunch of New York people, comedians that I want to see. I haven't been to New York in, like, I don't know, 5 years or something, but I went to the Comedy Cellar, and it was really cool. It was like a really neat experience. So where do you perform in New York usually when you do perform?
I perform, the only Comedy Cellar, I do the Village Underground, which is part of their thing. And I usually do like the Brooklyn stuff, Bell House, Union Hall, Littlefield, Eastville. And then, I do like Good God Comedy. I do the, the quote unquote alt shows mostly, as they say.
Oh, because those are the ones that are like not at a comedy club. Like I watched that show Crashing, and that was like such a fascinating show where like, he does like the alt comedy. It's like in people's basements and like at a laundromat or something. I'm like, wow, this is like fascinating to me. I don't think we have that in Phoenix that I know of. So it'd be fun to go see that stuff. You
probably do. Like, because like Cleveland has a great scene like that. It's just, all it is just doing it in different places that aren't comedy clubs.
But isn't it a different kind of
comedy clubs
vibe too, and a different kind of comedian? Like,
to some extent, but I think, less and less so in recent years. To me, it used to be that, those kind of shows would be more experimental comedians, but I think it's all kind of blurring together a bit in recent years.
Yeah.
In a boring way, I think.
Oh,
like
really?
I think just I think basically that there's less people experimenting than there used to be, unfortunately.
That sucks.
Which is not to say there's still plenty of amazing stuff, but it was just seem more experimental than it is now.
It seems like there's a lot of,
in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of really funny people on TikTok, in my opinion. Like I see my brother will send me these clips of these people and I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, why isn't this guy on SNL? He does a way better impersonation than the people on there. And so it's interesting. There's a lot of talent there because you can just do it from your basement or whatever. But some people are really talented, but I guess they just don't have the drive to go and actually go up on stage, or I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's a lot. Who knows, plus I mean, SNL, I don't know how many people are on the show, but there's only however many spots on, there's a lot of, but comedy is one of those things. I think it's, there's people all over that. There's a guy walking down the street that's funnier than the guy in the arena playing the arena. And, it's like music. There's always going to be some guy at home in his bedroom that beats the shit out of everyone at guitar.
I know, and I think it might just be like personal taste too, because like I think Mike Polk and Dan Wilbur are hilarious, and nobody knows who the fuck those guys are.
Well, I think people know who they are.
Yeah, I mean, some, but I'm saying they're not as big as like they're not household names.
They're not Dave Hill.
No,
I mean,
but
come on.
To me, they are. To me, they are. But yeah.
I'm kidding. I love both those guys. No, I think there's so many factors that lead to some, it's not a meritocracy. Comedy, the arts in general are not a meritocracy where like everyone, if you're good or, it's not like everyone's going to get, you get what you get and you don't get upset.
It's weird. It is just weird with that
in life,
It is like that.
It's like that.
Yeah, because there's people I look at that, they just started podcasting and they get better guests than me, and it makes me so angry. And I'm like, sometimes that's just life, though. Like for whatever reason, they're getting better guests than me, and so I don't know. I guess I got to step up my game or whatever. So,
well, there's so many factors to everything. There's, so I don't know. That's why I just kind of just try to be the best Dave Hill I can be and not worry about.
You're doing a great job at it. I think you've done amazing things. So I do probably need to wrap up here. I like to end each episode with a charity. I think I told you about that. And obviously, I mean, you've worked with homeless shelters in the past, but is there a charity that's really near and dear to your heart right now that you want to promote?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the nice things about, of the few nice things of the last year or so is it's made me focus more on that. And one that I've been able to give and also raise a lot of money for different charities in the last year. I'm fully just patting myself on the back. No,
that's great. I'd like to be able to raise money for charity at some point.
A no-brainer for me has been No Kid Hungry, who they help get meals to kids who need food. So who can argue that? Who can say don't do that?
And that's why I love doing this, because I love, like, it's one thing that, there's so much diversion with politics and shit like that, but like everybody can agree, like helping people with, homeless kids or, cancer or whatever, like all these are things that bring people to, we can all agree on this. Usually some of the charities might rub some people the wrong way, but I don't think anyone's going to get pissed off about that one.
I would hope so. I mean, I don't think, I think anything when you're helping people, have a better life, I don't know how, and without rattling off a bunch of other charities, but obviously we live in times when someone would be like, you shouldn't be,
Well, no, but like if someone's someone comes on, and I've had people, I've had a comedian come on and she said she really wanted to promote Planned Parenthood, and she's like, yeah, I think they do. I love that they give do these abortions. I think that's great. And I'm like, I'm kind of cringing because I'm like, well, some people don't like abortion, and so it's like, and then you just get all political, and it's like, And because I just feel like that kind of stuff just, it's like a tug of war where it's like you can have people, I got to have people come on that promote abortion, and then I got someone come on next week that promotes pro-life, and then I'm like, well, this is just getting us nowhere. So it's like, I'd rather have something that could bring everyone together. I don't know. That's just my own.
Yeah, no, that's no, you're right. Well, I think no kid, and I'm very in support of Planned Parenthood, of course, but I
yeah, I mean, you're a liberal. That's okay. I mean, I have conservative friends. I have liberal friends.
I am the I'm a liberal to the core. I'm just annoying.
I know you got kicked off of Twitter because you were trolling Trump fans.
I know, I'm so annoying to half the people I went to high school with because of my.
Do you have conservative friends though? Are you able to?
Yeah, I mean, So well, certain. One thing with my family, I would say, prior to 2016, everyone was pretty across the board. From very liberal like me and some of my siblings to Republican on the other end of it. But one thing, Donald Trump really brought us together because we all agreed that we fucking hated him. So
some people like him though. Nice. Some people really like him.
Yeah, I find it, I don't think this is a whole other thing to get into. I maybe have one or two friends that I think
do you have any friends that like Trump? Like, I mean, you say you have Republican friends, but do you have any friends that are like full on Trump support? Like, that's got to be hard for you as someone who.
No, not really at this point. I think I think I've pretty much alienated anybody like that in my life. But I've kind of put out the work. I've done the work to get them out of my life. But that being said,
funny way to put it.
I think we're past. He's gone. Not like I think all the division and all that is gone either. But one thing I think once he was not in office, I maybe would have anticipated being like, ha, but I didn't feel that way. I was kind of like, okay, let's all move to, maybe we can eventually not be so divided, which I think is ultimately, because it's not like half the people are, it's not like, it's just no, I just don't agree with his administration. So I don't hate anybody who is on board with that. Hopefully we can just get to a better place.
Sure, that's absolutely. Well, besides besides politics, what else do you have on the horizon? Do you have any projects that you're working on? Any books or things gigs that you have lined up or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of getting back to. I'm starting a new book, my fourth book. Which will, in theory, be out, I think, in 2023. But to give you an exclusive, I have not written a single word of it.
Okay. What's it about?
But no, I have written some. I've written a little bit, but who knows what will make it to the end. It's going to be about hockey. That's all I can tell you.
Okay. Yeah, because you have that other book, what is it called? Parking the Moose, that's about Canada, that Malcolm Gladwell said was the funniest book about Canada ever written.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's a pretty good endorsement.
So I'm working on that, and then just writing a bunch, writing some TV and film things that will hopefully turn into something that people can see, and then I'm working on new music with Valley Lodge and Witch Taint and Pain and Doll, and then some other things with other friends, and then getting back to performing live, and then hopefully by the fall maybe start touring a bit, and then
Awesome.
In the new year, I hope to get back to, touring all over the world again. Hopefully, if things are back to that.
Do you tour as a comedian too? Like, would you come to Phoenix? Have you done shows here or?
I haven't. I would like to. I haven't. And I need to. The weird thing is I have a booking agent everywhere in the world for comedy except for North America. So
Interesting.
people always write to me and be like, when are you going to come to Phoenix or wherever? And I'm always like, tell whoever does shows to book me, because that's the only way. I mean, fortunately, I stay busy. It's not like I have enough going on, but though I basically just do what people get in touch and make me an offer.
Okay.
And then I'll come.
All right. Well, if anybody's listening or booking agents.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And even if you're a Trump voter, I look forward to, because as I've said, I'm one love now.
There we go. Well said.
I don't know why I quoted I like reggae, so I guess that's part.
All right. Well, this has been great, and definitely keep us posted on your future projects, and come back on the show again. I'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
Please.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
And see Drunk Bus.
Yeah, I want to see it. I'm going to see it. I'll figure out a way to watch it. If it's on Apple TV, I think I have that, so I think I can watch it for free.
Yeah, it's on there. Amazon.
Okay, perfect. Yep. All right, thanks, Dave.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much.
See you later.
Talking to you.
You too.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So there you have it. Dave Hill's life story, sort of, with some tangents. I enjoyed it all. I like hearing his opinions and his stories. He's a really interesting guy. Check out some of his work. He's got something for everyone, whether it's his music, his acting, his stand-up comedy, his books, or his podcasts, or his new clothing line that he's designing, apparently. He's a very busy man. Make sure to follow him on social media to keep up with what he's doing. You can follow me as well. I'm on the social medias, the Facebooks, the Twitters, and Instagram. I think Dave is not on Twitter, by the way, because he got banned. I think you mentioned that. You can also subscribe to my podcast wherever you listen, so you don't miss any future episodes. That will help out. I heard something on another podcast today about people who make it to the end of the podcast are the real heroes. So if you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day. And remember, shoot for the moon.